All right, thanks for tuning in. The 49ers on Thursday had their seventh practice of training camp. So, bringing you up to date on some of the injuries that the 49ers are dealing with at this point here, a week into camp. Deommodore Lenoir has some hip irritation, according to Kyle Shanahan. He missed his second day of practice. 49ers aren't going to have him practice tomorrow or the following day. Then they have a day off on Sunday. So, they'll reevaluate and see if he can get out there on Monday. And so, thing that really stands out is just kind of the lack of depth, or proven, I should say, depth that the 49ers have at cornerback, with Renardo Green out for a couple weeks, Deommodore Lenoir sidelined. And so the 49ers' number one cornerbacks with their first team defense, Dallas Flowers and Darrell Luter. So kind of gives you an idea there of that drop off from Lenoir, who's one of the better cornerbacks in the game, and Renardo Green, a second round pick who shows a lot of promise, to now where they are as they're trying to make these pieces fit together. Also, rookie running back Jordan James from Oregon has some knee issues, according to Kyle Shanahan, and that doesn't sound real good. He did not practice. He sat out of that Thursday practice. And what Shanahan says that he'll be evaluated throughout the week, and that they'll see how it goes, how he recovers from there. But it does it does explain why the 49ers went out and got some help at running back. Jeff Wilson Jr. was one of the players the 49ers brought in for a tryout on Wednesday, but they ended up going with Amir Abdullah, who's a 10-year vet, bounced around a little bit, very good special teams player. So he comes in. Jordan James, I don't know, it just kind of sounded a little bit ominous as far as that. 49ers already short at wide receiver, and Juwan Jennings, he missed his third consecutive practice on Thursday with a calf strain. And yes, it's the same calf strain that he had during the offseason program. So that bothered him then. 49ers aren't really working on a timetable as far as getting him back. But let's just say it is so vitally important for Juwan Jennings to be part of this team. So 49ers aren't going to take any chances with him. They already have Jacob Cowing out. They already have Brandon Ayuk out. 49ers did make some moves. They released two wide receivers. They're bringing in two wide receivers. So they released Equanimeous St. Brown. They released Malik Knowles, and they brought in Andy Isabella, who is a slot receiver, really good speed, was in that 2019 draft when the 49ers were at the Senior Bowl. They coached him. And also Marquise Callaway comes in. 49ers also signed another quarterback. This is Carter Bradley, and he joins the 49ers with his dad, Gus Bradley, as a defensive assistant. So Carter Bradley came in, and he was the guy assigned to throw the passes to all those workout guys who came in on Wednesday, impressed the 49ers. They went back, looked at the film, and they said, you know what, he's pretty good. Let's watch some film on him. They did, and they ended up signing him. So now he's the fourth quarterback, gives the other quarterbacks a little bit of a break maybe with the passes being thrown during training camp. So what Shanahan said was, we wouldn't have signed him unless he had a legitimate spot to win a legitimate chance to win a roster spot. So that's where they are right there. Carter Bradley, Gus Bradley's son, comes in. Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa, Kyle Juszczyk, they didn't practice. Ben Barch was activated off the NFI list. He injured a quad before training camp doing squats in the weight room. He was active, and he's right back in the first team offense at left guard. Now, what Kyle Shanahan said, Nick Zakelj had been running with the first team, but what Shanahan said is there's a competition definitely that we are excited about seeing there at left guard. But Ben Barch certainly appears to be a guy that has an upper hand as far as winning that spot to take over in Aaron Banks' old role. One thing that stood out early in practice, watching the one-on-ones, the offensive lineman against the defensive lineman. On this day, the offensive lineman flat out dominated. About the only guy on defense that won reps against the 49ers offensive lineman. Really about the only guy was Sebastian Valdez. The 49ers offensive lineman really did a good job. There was one play where Kalia Davis flattened Zach Johnson a guy who's battling for a spot on the practice squad. Probably he was on the practice squad last year. Here's one observation, and Jennifer Lee Chan and I talked about this on the 49ers Talk podcast, is the second round pick. We talked a lot about Alfred Collins. He's a big guy, right? He didn't take part in the offseason program, and I think it really shows. And I think it's going to be a really difficult transition for Alfred Collins. There's a lot for him to work on here early in his career, because at his size, I think everybody kind of thinks like a man his size should be able to just anchor down and be a force against the run. 6'5", 332 pounds. But I think what is so difficult is that, the guys he's going up against, those offensive linemen, they're big guys too. Maybe not that size. Some of them are. But where Collins, I think, is going to have a difficult time is just keeping that low center of gravity. We saw it with Javon Kinlaw early in his career, where he would just get blown off the ball because he was too upright as a defensive tackle. And so Kinlaw became a liability in the run game. I think Alfred Collins, the second-round pick, really has to work on just bending his knees, staying low, because if he doesn't, the 49ers might suffer in the run game because of him. And then also, I don't know that he'll be a factor in the passing game either. So early on, again, pumping the brakes, not calling him anything other than just what I'm observing right now. I think there are some things that he really needs to work on to be a contributor on this team, to be able to work on his leverage, be stout in the run game. And you would think a guy 6'5", 332 should be winning his one-on-one reps, but that hasn't been the case. So far, CJ West and Robert Saleh referred to him as a fire hydrant. CJ West has the low center of gravity, and that's part of why he's probably further along and probably closer to making an impact for the 49ers than Alfred Collins is. CJ West, a fourth-round pick, Alfred Collins, a second-round pick. So definitely something to keep an eye on. As far as this practice goes, 49ers, it was probably a pretty good day for the offense. The big play of practice was Brock Purdy hooking up with Demarcus Robinson on a deep ball, 45-yarder, beating Darrell Luter. That was probably the big play. Speaking of Kalia Davis, by the way, he had a sack during this practice. Jonathan Garvin had a sack during this practice, another defensive lineman. Saw Nick Martin for the first time kind of make a play, stripping the ball from Junior Bergen. D. Winters, I think, has had a really good camp. And so it's kind of looking like D. Winters is putting himself in position to be that starter at linebacker to take over for Dre Greenlaw. I guess I should mention the kickers as well. Both Greg Joseph and Nick Moody, they had the same kicks back-to-back from 33 yards, from 37 yards, from 43 yards, and from 54 yards. And so it was left hash mark, right hash mark, right hash mark. And from my angle, it was difficult to tell other than Greg Joseph made all of his kicks. Moody made his first three kicks, but his last one, 54-yarder, it either barely snuck inside the right upright, or he missed it wide right. There are NFL officials here helping the 49ers with rules interpretations and points of emphasis and all that, and they're standing underneath the goalpost, but neither one of them signaled whether that Moody kick was in or not. I kind of think it missed wide right, but regardless, let's count it as a miss because it wasn't right down the middle. And so clearly, these kickers want to hit it right inside, those pipes, right down the middle. And at least on this day, even if it was good, I would say that Greg Joseph had the better day because his kicks were no doubters, whereas at least one of Jake Moody's kicks was a no doubter. So I think that's about it from this day of practice as the 49ers had their seventh practice. Some of those the guys, the veteran guys weren't out there. McCaffrey, by the way, taking the day off, but all arrows are pointing up on him. On this particular day, Patrick Taylor took a lot of the second team reps and had a very good practice. He catches the ball really good. He's a veteran guy who got a couple starts late last season when the 49ers had all those injuries at running back. But Patrick Taylor showing some good things as well as Isaac Garindo. And now, boy, 49ers appear to be a little bit concerned about Jordan James and his availability, at least for the next week and maybe longer than that. So that's the update, the quick recap from 49ers practice. Be back out here on Friday. And thanks so much for watching. And that is it for now.